Hey everyone, this is a recording of a Half-Life mod that I made. I worked on this for a while in 2014 and early 2015, but I never released it, even though I did do a lot of work on this mod. So as you can see, I'm playing the very first level, and I'm showing off the friendly enemy AI in it. So you see these soldiers who aren't really attacking me. They're basically programmed to be exactly the same as the grunt enemies in Half-Life, except they're programmed to be friendly. And this is a very trivial change. There's some code tutorial on TWHL that will tell you how to mod the game in this way. There's like some table of who is enemies with what, and you can basically modify who will attack who in a big table, and it's very easy to make that change. So there's two separate types of grunts in this. There's the friendly grunts and the enemy grunts, which are just reskinned normal grunts. And of course the friendly grunts use models found on Game Banana. So here I am playing this first level. I was still sort of getting into the Half-Life gameplay, so I'm taking a lot of extra damage. And there's a lot of backtracking in this mod just because there's not that much health, and you'll have to come back for health a lot in the mod. The name of this level is M5P... no, it's... what is it? It's M1P2.BSP, and the reason that it's called that is because I have a naming scheme where I say Mission 1 Part 2, and it starts on Part 1 because there was supposed to be a first level, which I decided to do the last because I was watching this thing where John Romero plays Doom, and he says that you should make the first level last because you'll be good at making levels by then. And I don't really know how true that is, but I decided to make the first level last. However, I never finished the mod, so I never made the first level at all. What the first level is supposed to be is you're in an office building and the attack happens, which is the guys that you're fighting now, and you make your way into the basement, and more specifically the basement parking garage area, the basement like driveway thing. Right? And of course it's already crawling with enemies because they've made it there, but you have some friendly enemies to help you out.
Just need to get out of this alive. Yes, let's go. I don't suppose you'd reconsider. Yeah, this should make you feel better. Fine. Why are you leaving me here? Oh no. I'm going to stay here and wait for my colleagues.
So you can see that we've inadvertently alerted a ton of enemies, and they've all sort of piled up to meet me. And that's kind of common in this mod. You can alert a lot of enemies prematurely and then just kill them in a bottleneck instead of encountering them at the pace that you'd normally encounter them. So it's got a very inconsistent amount of enemies you'll be fighting based on what you do.
Mission is go. Get Freeman! Go!
Now, of course, we've essentially beaten level 1, or map 1 of mission 1, even though it's called map 2. So I've killed the last enemy, and now the only thing to do is to walk to the exit, which is an air vent, and I will remember that the exit is this air vent right about now. And this is level 2, or mission 1, part 3, and this one operates on a sort of flaw in the mod where you have to memorize where all of the enemies are. And as you can see, I've got this route planned out for me. There's basically no way that you would know where all the enemies are and how to kill them the most efficiently your first time playing this. So it's very much a trial and error type of thing. And you can get rid of the enemies pretty easily if you know, of course, where they are.
Level monitoring activated.
This is, of course, supposed to continue your escape through the garage areas and underbelly of the facility. And we've just got the basic grunt enemies, and you will encounter more enemies later. It's just that these are the first levels. And that's a big problem with part of the way the mod works, is that one enemy can almost guarantee that you won't finish the level. And of course, because this is an easy level, it's very liberal with the amount of health you got. There I am memorizing that there's a group of enemies there, and of course, throwing a grenade prematurely. And the scripted explosion killed the enemies behind the wall, so I'm lucky. That doesn't normally happen. And there's a lot of luck that goes into beating these levels, just because this one you don't really need much luck to beat, but the later ones it will be much more apparent. So now we're finally outdoors, and in this section I gave you enough grenades to ensure that you can just instant kill your enemies with nades, and that's entirely the purpose of this segment, to just go on a grenade rampage. That's why I left grenades lying around. And of course I'm not even bothering to use them, I'm just spraying them down, which I guess that's a viable tactic. And here's the final area of the level. You can see that there are friendly enemies at the front of the garage, or you can't because I'm preoccupied with this enemy, who luckily didn't kill me. I had to re-record this run a few times, but here's the guys who have come to save me. And this level took quite a few tries because it is an exercise in futility. Here you can see my level memorization coming into play on the introduction. That's the flaw of this level, I believe. And by an exercise in futility, well, you'll see that rather shortly, but what it means is that there is no way to beat this level in the conventional way. You are not intended to kill all the enemies. You are in fact intended to make a break for it and run to the exit. And I was attempting this several times to kill all the enemies, and of course it was fruitless. And to understand why, the scenario is that the entire city has been
Ah,
compromised,
one of the new
and the only
suits.
thing left
Yes.
to do is to make a break for it to escape. So there is no way to kill the opposing forces because they are too numerous. This level fills the street with enemies. The alleyways are where the numbers are thinner, and it equips them very well, so there's absolutely no way that you will beat the enemies without some insane luck,
Have I been that much?
just because there's not enough equipment, not enough health to actually pull it off. Now, the level was sort of intended for you to try and save the scientists in that building that I'm ducking into right now, and that's of course pretty futile. Now you can see the friendly enemies have tried to defend the Austria helicopter where you make your escape, but most of them are dead, and really all you can do is enter the helicopter, which is the level's exit, but there's no transition, and just about nowhere else in the mod are actual level transitions. You just have to type out the console commands to load the maps manually. And since I never finished it, I of course never added any transitions. You're just intended to play with whatever is given to you at the beginning of the map. So, the story here is that you escape into the underground sewers where the enemy force has not found the survivors.
All right.
That's basically the gist of it. This level's pretty long and there's not a lot of action, but it is a nice level. It's got nice stuff in it.
Why are you leaving me here?
Let's get the hell out of here.
I predicted all of this, you know. Well, there goes our grant money.
Hello.
This is a nice scripted battle, and I'm going to clear out this area of all enemies. But it's a rather tedious process, and I do it mostly by tricking the friendly guys into helping me. These gas mask guys are just reskinned Barneys, and the other soldiers are grunts, so they do not listen to you. So here I am making them fight each other, and it's fun to look at, I guess. I'm just gonna fast forward through this part because it's a little tedious. A lot of sections of this level are. So part of the story here is that the enemies are coming down into the underground area to kill the survivors through elevators from the surface, and you can see that coming into play here, of course. But for the most part, the enemy presence isn't very high in this level. And over here is an alternate way of beating the level. It's just an alternate path down that ladder, which I don't want to take, even though it would be faster to take that path. It's not really an important section of the level, but it's there.
Yes. Are you seriously suggesting that all of these beings are here to dine on us?
Over in this section you can see that there's automatic turrets trying to shoot you, and you're supposed to use the crossbow that you're given to kill the operators, but of course I forgot all about that and did nothing about those things. And here are some more enemies coming down on elevators. You can see the friendlies attacking them, which of course is nice to look at. Now, further down here is the last part of this level, which is a pretty nice area to go through, even though I take it in this very tedious manner.
I'm slowing you. I certainly hope you know what you're doing.
At the end of this hallway it sort of turns to the right, and to the right, that's where the ladder leads down. The hallway continues. Of course I don't show you this part, but it's there. And here's the part where I actually remember that I have the crossbow and kill the operators so they stop firing at me. Unfortunately, this is where I'm out of health and ammo, and I just cheese my way through the rest of this level in a rather uneventful way, so I'll speed that up now. This level, I believe, has a lot of really great content in it. It's supposed to depict the home base of the friendly AI NPCs that have been helping you this whole time in their secret base below the sewers as it gets invaded by the enemies. And there's some really nice stuff with the H-Grunt grapple entity, which of course comes through the ceiling, and I have that mechanic happen quite a lot in this level.
Online have a very
Okay, why not? Didn't want to die alone anyway.
Now, in this section,
Okay,
you
no
have
way
to
here,
come
no
here
roger that.
because
Let's run like hell.
up here is
Let's
the
get the hell
button
outta
that
here.
makes the elevator go up. There's an elevator in the previous room, which was down, and I'm sure you didn't think about that, but that's the place that you have to go. And now there's more enemies dropping in. And now here's the section where I try and get all of the Barneys that I can onto the elevator, which of course I will speed up because it's just me herding the AI around, which is rather boring to watch. Oh, by the way, this is how I lost the level the last in my previous attempt. Here you go.
You have any idea what's going on?
So we're now descending down to the next section of the level, which of course is the lower area below all those bridges or arches or whatever you want to call them. Here I am making the Barneys come on, and there's a sequence where they'll fight some more enemies. By the way, the level is so big that it goes past the draw distance,
Yeah, let's go.
and of course its method of telling you when something's beyond the draw distance is simply not drawing over the pixels, which is why you get this effect, because there's absolutely no overdraw, so it's artifacts from the previous frames, if you're wondering what that effect was that you're looking at. And as you can see,
We might stand a better
3
chance.
Barneys in a firing line are very effective at killing enemies. So now we're going even deeper into the bowels of the earth, or the sewer system,
That'll look nice in my
and if we come over this way to this section of the room, we can see some important story development. You hear that elevator, and let's just freeze this frame once you can see the people on the elevator in clear view. So just remember who these 3 people are, because you'll see them again in a later level. Oh, I forgot to get those 2 off the elevator, but there's no way to get the elevator back.
Fine. You won't even know I'm here.
Now, in here, in the very depths of this area, is
Okay,
none
why
other
not?
than
Didn't wanna
Ben
die alone
Garrison.
anyway.
I'm sure you all knew who that is. And in the depths of these sewers, he's been preparing the counterattack in his giant computer base that he has deep underground with all his soldiers. And of course, this is a map of the war that's being depicted in this mod, although you only play in one city. Actually, no, you go to a bunch of places, but you'll see them soon. Right now, you're all still in one city. I'm not sure which city it is. I haven't really thought about that part. And of course, that person who you saw in the elevator was his colleague, and you'll see his colleague soon, because your mission now that you've met Ben Garrison, is to rescue his colleague who is captured by the other two enemies on that elevator. And so the first step to rescuing them is, of course, to exit the sewers so that you can chase after the captors, who you will meet in a later level.
Got another one.
Automatic medical systems engaged. Defensive weapon selection system.
What I like to do is I like to make my friendly little Barney guys, and that's what Ben Garrison is. He's actually the same AI as Barney, but with extra health and of course a nice looking model, which I kind of forget how his model works, what his model is exactly. I believe it's one of the elite crew members from Counter-Strike, of course Reese, and what I did was I took the elite crew model, I put a cowboy hat on the model, and then I re-rigged it, as in I took Barney's skeleton and of course just took the mesh of the elite crew with the cowboy hat, and of course I took that and I put that into milk shape, and I manually like re-rigged the vertices, which I had to do with a couple of models, but only about four models I had to do this process to, but a bunch of the other ones were already pretty well done, so I didn't need to do that.
Depleted. Medical system. Ammunition depleted.
Now there's a hidden, you can get your hands on a crossbow if you go down here. And of course there's more skeletons like in the earlier, like in Mission 2 Part 1, there are skeleton enemies, and it's always in the dark of course, so it's rather easy to get hit by them. And here I think someone was ringing the doorbell, so I had to quit playing for a bit, but I cut that part out.
Hey, Gordon.
Now this is supposed to be another survivor's outpost in the sewer system, and of course, to fit the theme of going up, right? You're going up these elevators because you just went down a bunch of elevators and now you're going pretty far up. There's another up elevator, and what I want to do is I want to take some Barneys. And of course, it's a pain getting them to follow you, but whatever. And you'll need them for the nice combat section at the end of this level.
Sorry, sir. Oh, what's that stench?
That's a kind of funny, pretty funny way for him to die. I didn't think that would happen. I also didn't think he'd apologize to me. But here now we have the combat segment coming right up.
Okay, we might live longer if we work together. You go on without me.
With my brains and your brawn, we'll make an excellent team. I'm slowing you down,
Okay,
am
I'll
I?
wait here and help anyone else who comes by. Yeah, we might stand. I'll stay here and guard this area. Okay, why not? Didn't want to die alone anyway. Okay, I'll cover you. That's one less horror in the world. go on without me. Yeah, I'll wait. Okay.
There are like a whole
Roger
bunch of
that.
other, there are like a couple more rooms, but something wrong happened, and that's supposed to be a trigger brush. However, it's being used as something that is not a trigger brush, so we will just have to move on to the next map. Alright, so here's mission 3, and remember that guy in the elevator who's being captured? Well, he's being held in this building, and you have to find him, and this is the one level that actually has music in it. The rest of the levels, there's no music, but this one has it. So you have like a bunch of friendly soldiers who are helping you out, and you know, they mostly hold down the route. They don't really follow you because they're not programmed to, and it's just a pain to get them to do anything. So they're guarding the helicopter, and it's your job to go in there, to get in there and to kill them all, kill all the enemies, which there are a lot of. And this level is very hard. I believe that it is one of the most difficult levels in the game, if not the most difficult level, just because of the nature of it. It's a toss-up between this one and Mission 4 Part 2, but this one took me the most time. I have 2.5 hours of video recording, and all of it just to get a successful run. By the way, you know that gap in the fence back there? If you jump down, you can actually land on another part of the level, which I'll explain to you later. Of course, I think in this one it's the first time that I used those other enemies with the new AK gun, and I had to look up some programming tutorial about how to add new guns in, because I didn't really understand programming very well when I was making this. I was not a programmer in very good sense. So you can see that ledge that guy is on. Like, I'm gonna turn towards it sooner or later. But anyway, you can jump down there and get the long jump module, which is down there. And that's just a sort of risky route that you shouldn't take, but you can take, and I don't think there's a reason to take it. And if you fall down there, you should die. There's no way out. Of course, this is the first time that you get health, and of course it's very hard to get this far. You've no idea how lucky I am. Oh, and there's the machine gun turret, which luckily didn't take too much off my health. And now here's a very difficult section because there are 2 enemies up on that top ring. So obviously it's very bad that you're just in a bad spot right here, and there's no other way of looking at this. Now, these enemies, you can pretty much kill them without a whole lot of hassle, although one of them has a grenade launcher, and he'll just instant kill you if you fuck around with him, and that happened to me a lot. Like, see that grenade he just shot? That's a one-hit kill in this close quarters. Very, very easy to do splash damage. So there's a lot of bullshit grenade shots that you'll see when you're playing this. Well, you're not going to play this yourself because I'm not releasing it, but if I had released it, you'd get mad because of the nade shots. So down that ramp that guy's guarding is the exit to the level, so I could just walk down that ramp right now, but instead I want to fight in this area, which is kind of a red herring because it doesn't go anywhere, and it's only there for people who are playing the game thoroughly like this, and there you have it. There's some extra health, and that is really it. Okay, Aika, you didn't beat the level on this recording. What are you doing? Why exactly aren't you beating the level? Well, my problem is it took me like 2.5 hours to get a successful run, and even then it was not as successful as this one. It was just me running past the last few enemies down the ramp, which was like right around the corner into the level end area. So there's literally nothing that you're missing except for this ramp thing, and you're gonna see it in like a later level because of backtracking. Okay, so just take my word for it, right? It took me 2.5 hours to make a run where I kill most of the enemies and I actually beat the level. So I'm not, and then I lost the recording of that, so I'm not going to do it again, alright? That's it. That is final. Alright, next level. So this is the next level, which I totally got to in a legit way. You're in the elevator going to the innards of this office building, which of course is crawling with enemies. And the inhabitants of the office building have all been killed, but some are actually hiding, and you can find them, and of course, because they're scientists, or you notice that some scientists have brown shirts, and they're just supposed to be normal people, but they can all heal you, which is a nice feature, and I use that to give you health. So here you can see that guy has killed all of those people, and yeah, so here's a hidden guy, and he's hiding from the terrorists. You can see those Counter-Strike models. I had to re-rig them in milk shape to use the H-Grunt skeleton so that it would work with the H-Grunt animations, and I was successful, although you can clearly see them spaz out a lot, and I'm very lucky that rocket didn't splash damage me. If you're wondering how I got that guy to shoot a rocket, it's the rocket from the Apache helicopter. I just copy-pasted the code. I copy-pasted some code. I don't even know what it was or what it did, because I was not any good at programming at this time.
With my brains, and I'm slowing you down, am I?
And at this time, we're gonna come face to face with those guys in the elevator. That was a pretty easy fight. That's kind of supposed to be some semi-climactic fight where you finally take them down, but you only need a couple nades to kill them. Maybe I should have let them fight, but I didn't feel like jeopardizing the run. So yeah, so now you can finally liberate the person that they captured. So let's go in the door. Time for the big reveal. Of course, it's Zyklon Ben's best friend, Anders Breivik.
Roger that.
Yes,
Let's run
let's
like
go.
hell.
So this is mission 3, part 3, and as you can see, it's backtracking across the same level, except you're going in the opposite direction. So that's a little lazy, but I did add new content to it, of course. So there is some new stuff. It's supposed to be an escort mission where you bring Anders all the way back to the helicopter, and I think it succeeds in this, even though it's very difficult to work with this AI.
Munition level monitoring activated. Communications online. Activating.
Roger. I'll stay here. Yeah, let's go.
I never suspected such things could be. I'm going to stay here and wait. Yes. Why are you leaving me here? Let's go. I refuse to go another step.
See you later. Yeah.
Deleted. Detected. Ammunition depleted.
Fine. This should make you feel better. You're going to...
So at this point in the level, Breivik decided to run all the way back to that staircase, and I couldn't get him out of the doorway. But for all intents and purposes, I had escorted him to the level exit, which of course is just the elevator, and of course the level exit isn't programmed in, but the level ends essentially at the elevator that you came from, so off to the next map. So of course here's the final map in this mission, which of course, as you can see, is the original map that of the roof of the helicopter that you land on, but with remade enemies, and the terrain has changed, and you'll see what I mean by that as we go forward. So it's the final home stretch to the Great Escape. And that's our first encounter with the robot enemy. Technically it's our second, or to be more technical, it's our third, but it's our first time that it's actually shooting back at us, and I don't have nades to take it out in 2 hits. So this is the German enemy. You know how in Germany they used robots instead of people because you can't shoot people in German video games or something. So I basically took the German H-Grunt model, but I replaced the Gauss. I replaced the MP5 with the Gauss cannon and changed the attack from a hit scan attack to the projectile attack that the aliens in Zen that float around use. And in this section I've had to I've very much had to speed it up because the AI is just being atrocious but manageable somehow in this section. Finally get into the elevator. Also, as you can see, an attack helicopter has blocked our normal path backwards. Now, there was a guy who was supposed to say something to you when you got into that little room that I spent so long coaxing Anders into. However, he was dead, so he couldn't say it. So now here's the final part of this where I get into another elevator and we're surrounded by friends because it's a friendly area, so I'll just speed through that as well. So now at this part in the game, you're on the offensive and you're supposed to infiltrate an enemy base and kill a bunch of enemies and destroy something, I guess. It's not really explained to you, but you just keep walking forward through these this mountainous terrain, and you eventually will enter the enemy bunkers, which is, in this mission, this first part is easy, but the second map is a candidate for the hardest map in the game, Mission 4 Part 2. But luckily, we're only on the easy part, so it's kind of easy to just breeze through this with some basic Half-Life skills. The first part is a little hard to get started, but once you do, you can do it. And here we are, right into the thick of it itself, once I turn around and begin infiltrating the bunker, which is where you can see some more of that. If I could actually hit these rockets, then you could see some more of the enemy that you saw very briefly, which is like a Half-Life scientist, except he carries a handgun and he tries to shoot you. And what he is it's a Barney who's hostile to you and looks like an evil scientist. So we're about to encounter them. Right there, look at that. It's a pretty cool enemy. It's got, you know, it's just Barney who's automatically trying to attack you, but I think that it's a pretty cool concept. And you'll see a lot of them in this area because it's supposed to be the bad guy's base, right? So this is the brains behind the operation, science people, scientists. I don't think I realized I had that much shotgun ammo, or I would have used that sooner. And I know it's hard, it's not easy, but I managed to somehow get through the level with only this very small amount of health that I have right now. And in that acid pit, that enemy, those sky robot things, they're like, I don't even know where they're from. They're from Game Banana. I'm sure you can tell me which Half-Life enemy that is. It's the guys in Zen. But anyways, I just run by him and somehow don't get hit. You can take a look at this guy.
They could have listened, but now they're all dead. If you can destroy the computer system down there, it will stop the invasion. You're the last chance that the survivors have.
And if you can't tell, that's just Ron Paul. I don't need to explain that. You guys know who Ron Paul is, right? Come on. Now, this level is possibly one of the most difficult levels in the game. I said that several times, I'm just repeating myself. To start, you have to have this flawless, this took a bunch of practice from all my failed attempts. I got the first section of this level nailed down. So you start in the bowels of this underground facility, and this level takes place completely underground. You do not go above ground in this, and you're at the heart of the invasion, the heart of the operation. Actually, not really. But anyway, you're at an important place, and if you destroy the things in here, it'll stop the invasion, and that's the story. Right, listen to what Ron Paul said. So let's just watch this take its course. Oh yeah, you might want to know what's up that ramp over, I'm not looking at it right now, but you guys saw that ramp, right? well, in there is like a dark hallway full of skeletons, and one time I was like, I'm gonna check that out, but then a skeleton killed me because it was dark and I couldn't see them, so I'm not sure if there's ammo in there, and I'm actually fairly certain that there's some sort of ammo or something in there, and I didn't find it because it was pitch black. So now we're in the heart of the facility, and if you can hear that, you'll see what that is soon. So here's the scientists, and here's their captives, right? They're captives, the good guy scientists, right? And how did that robot get there? I do not know how it happened, but it's on. I think it's crazy. But here he is trying to kill the scientists, and it looks like they're all dead. Except for one, but I think he's been killed. And of course the animations are glitchy. I don't know what's causing that. This is using a modified version of hl.dll that I modified using the Half-Life SDK that's somewhere on moddb.com. You can download the code not for the engine but for the game at least, and I'm sure that a competent programmer, unlike myself at the time that I was making this mod, can do pretty nice things with it.
Finally, we're finally.
And if you notice, those enemies are Shrek. This is back when Shrek was kind of funny. You guys remember that? Remember when Shrek was funny? I do. I remember that. So, here's more stuff. You're killing these scientists who are a real pain in the ass to kill.
Taste it. Taste it. Taste it. Finally, we're getting somewhere. Taste it. Getting somewhere. Taste it. Finally, we're getting somewhere.
In this section, it was supposed to be that those guys were captives, but it looks like the enemies realized that they could go in and kill them, and they did, which isn't the intention, but it's what happens. Here's a crucial weakness of this robot enemy. You can't aim down, but if you crouch, you're golden. He can't kill you at all. He's harmless, and you can cheese him like that.
I wonder if those boys could have made a better. I missed.
Freeman, I see you are in this. Yes, it appears that you need medical attention right away. Let's try this. Have I been that much of a... Let's go. I'm going to stay here and wait for my colleagues.
Coming right up, this is a pretty funny scripted sequence that you can check out. Look at this. But unfortunately it's bugged out when I press the button, but you'll see it soon, don't worry. He's supposed to study how that guy gets killed by the Shreks.
It's me! Yeah! Ready?
Look at this.
It's me, Shrek!
Watch out.
Ready?
Oh yeah, and I bet you didn't realize that, but that button that I pressed is gonna open the other door, which was locked, and that... was it locked? I don't even know. But anyway, I pressed that button, which was probably important. I believe that one has grenades, and I'm just cheesing them right now, because, you know, this is the kind of level where try and hold yourself to the standard of kind of victory counts. Well, this game's just gonna step all over that, I tell you. I hope you guys have been impressed by how this section looks, because I think that this area looks really great and that I did a great job on it, because it's my favorite area. Well, I think it's the best done hallways in the game. I don't think any hallways look this good anywhere else in the game. And, you know, maybe I should leave the whole thing look at this, but look at this three-leveled area, combat area. If I can just stop peeking the door like a coward and go out there, then I would show you what it's all about. Oh yeah, so now that I'm finally here, this area was a pretty big deal to make. It was very hard to make this in the hammer editor because I used like the carve tools instead of the per vertex tools, and that you can see that artifacts there if you're a hammer editor person like me. And it took a lot of work to like get all the cracks so that the light maps would build correctly, and it was just very difficult to make this room worth it, but it was worth it and it did work. And I'm glad that it worked because I think this room came out really well. Just, you know, who has this three-layered room? It was not easy to do. And as we go back, you can see that I believe that a button that I pressed somewhere made, I don't even know. I think a button that was pressed somewhere opens up the exit to the level, and it was in that blue area, and I pressed that button. Now how true that is, well, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what's wired up to end the level because it's been over a year since I've looked at this in Hammer Editor. But as you can see, this is a really cool part. So at the very bottom, you can see that the level all ties in. It's all connected to each other. It's one continuous space, and it's kind of linear, but it's also very non-linear because you can go to certain parts of the level immediately and get killed really fast. I kind of did it in the order that I imagined myself doing it in, but as you can see, this is just a huge level, and it's very difficult to beat this, and it took me a lot of tries too. But I've opened the final part, and I believe that what I'll do in this run is I'm just going to go into that room which I ran away from and kill the scientists. Oh yeah, and here's the end of the level. So I guess this is the end of the level, if you want to call it that. So I've beaten the level, and now I'm basically just killing the scientists. And that was Mission 4, Part 2. Now we're going to go look at Part 3, which is another massively sprawling level just like this one.
Finally, we're getting somewhere. Finally, we're getting somewhere.
So here are some of my old screenshots of this level in Hammer Editor, and as you can see, it's pretty complex. It's also a classic example of why you should never use the carve tool, and you should always use the vertex manipulation. And here we're going to roll off to the next screenshot. Here you can see the whole level in one continuous frame in the top corner, and that's a pretty huge level, and it's all interconnected. It's one continuous space, and it's a massive level, and I'm very happy with how it came out. It took me quite a bit of work, but it's a very nice level, and I liked it very much. I liked working on it very much. Although I don't really remember what it was like working on it, because that was kind of a while ago. But as you can see, it took a lot of stuff. And while I'm at it, I'll show off some other pictures of other levels that I have. I have screenshots of me in Hammer working on them. So you should be seeing those now. And I guess I'll take you to the next level right about now. Alright, so this is part 3 of mission 4. And what you do is you get out of the facility and you realize you're somewhere in the Middle East by all of the Counter-Strike Dust 2 textures. And then you realize that Half-Life uses a fucking yellow crosshair that looks exactly like every single texture on this map, which means that for all intents and purposes, you don't have a crosshair anymore. Now, I changed the crosshair on this mod, and then when I booted it up again, and of course all the HUD files were removed, so I had to copy them back, and I copied over the green crosshair, which I put into the mod explicitly because the default crosshairs are fucking garbage, right? And that is why I can't see shit. I can't see where I'm aiming, and that made this level harder to beat than normally was. Also, route through the level that I didn't even play. I killed most of the enemies and showed off most of the areas, so this playthrough of this level should be good enough. If I pause for a few seconds, that's in the recording, that's because I don't know where the fuck I'm aiming my crosshair at. Okay?
Power 15%. Power 20%. Ammunition depleted. Blood loss detected.
Mission is go.
Depleted.
Recon team, check in.
Power 15%. Mission depleted. Power 80%. Power 95%.
Alright, so now that I've killed all those guys on this fucking giant level that it's really easy to get lost and to get killed because of how stingy it is with health. Right, this giant level, there's finally a button that you can press. Oh yeah, did I mention that, that enemy's attack really bothers me because it just follows you around and it can do a lot of damage. So those enemies are tough. That one that I just blew up. So you saw the env shake effect, right? Which means that the world shakes. And this is the part where I walk out of the level and I walk out of mission 4, which is only 3 maps, 3 very long, difficult maps that are really hard to beat. And I don't know if it's just a fluke that I beat this one so fast, but here's Anders coming to save you. Anyway, now to mission 5.
Roger that. Let's run like hell.
Alright, so the next level is mission 5, part 1, and this is a map of, it's like a screenshot of Hammer that has all of the different routes that you can take through it. And I made this to show off how complex the level is. And I'm going to say in the next voice recording that there's multiple ways to beat it, so I'm repeating myself. But this is what you can expect from the most complex, I believe, the most complex. The other ones might be as or more complex than this, but here you go. Alright, so this is mission 5. It's the last real level in the game. Now there are 3 ways to beat mission 5 part 1, which is the last real level in the game, and one is the easiest way, which is through the front door. The guys are programmed to follow you. And they'll take care of the enemies a little bit. So this is the first time that I work using alien enemies because you're so close to the it's like the last mission, right? So you gotta add that in. And part of the reason that there's alien enemies is because there's this kind of alien thing going on with this mission, which isn't explained because I didn't even finish the mission, but the idea is, in Mission 5 Part 3, which was never made, you were supposed to find, like, a monolith, and that was supposed to be the source of the technology for the invasion. But that monolith, of course, was never mapped into a map because I stopped working on it after doing some work on Mission 5 Part 2. And that is the story of this. Alright, well you thought I was done with that level, but I'm not. There are 2 other ways to beat the level, and I'll show them to you for the sake of completion, because the multiple ways to beat this level are actually interesting. So this section it's not through the front door, it's through a sort of underhand route that I'm taking, and you'll see what I mean by that. So this is the area that you go through instead, and I'll just let it play. Alright, so now that you've made it over here, once I kill those stupid enemies with grenades, I can show you this really cool part of the level, and it's a turret that you can use. And the purpose of the turret is you use it to kill all of these flying stupid enemies who aren't even fighting back. You can just kill them all. And that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty cool thing. And of course you can pick up ammo. And one option is to jump down to the bridge, and that would make sense, but we're not going to do it because we're doing what you're sort of meant to do in this route, and that is to fall in the water, which does not kill you, although there is one of those, you know, the big fish enemy. Let's just turn around and oh no, we can't even fight back. But I don't think it's capable of pathfinding into here. So in this dark room you get some ammo and you get some extra stuff, which is pretty useful. So now I'll just let it play as you make your way to the end of the level this way. And here we are again, the third way of beating this level, because you thought that, you know, 2 ways of beating the level was enough, but there's actually 3 ways, so I'll explain.
Boys could have made it.
High impact reactive armor activated. Atmospheric. Activated. Automatic. Engaged. Activated. Mission monitoring. Activated. Communications interface. Online. Have a very safe day.
And this is another perfect example of how one enemy getting the shots in can just mess you up so badly. Just so badly. And luckily, this route is easier than the second route, which is probably the most difficult route. The most difficult way of beating this level is probably the second route. And this third route is not as difficult because it's a lot more liberal with how much health and armor you get. It's just more health packs this way.
Detected.
Alright, so now I can show you Mission 5 Part 2, which never had light maps, it was never finished. There's no enemies, there's no nothing, it's just an empty space, and I think that it looks pretty great, even though nothing much came of it. I still think that it's a pretty cool level, and I'll just walk around looking at everything for you guys. And after that, that will be the end of the video because there is nothing more to show.